ready to go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your 14th favorite dad in the family community, Papa West, Jacob West, and I'm here for another fantastic late TV fight. Our two gentlemen who made their debut a while ago, and unfortunately were not able to come out with the win. So we're doing kind of a losers bracket, but I don't like calling people losers just because I'm not that mean yet. So the unfortunate second place bracket is what we're calling this. So I do have the two competitors right now in that. First one, directly right below me, the Raptor Master, Jonathan Peck. Jonathan, how are you doing today?
Very good, Jacob. Very good, though. This is going to be some very interesting questions that you listed us right here, though, and also even one I personally have a hard time with, but I'll try to do my best right here with the answer that I come up with right here. So my day is doing very good, though. Just we can see it's 3 o'clock in Eastern Standard Time right here, though, in Virginia. So I feel fine, very calm, and hope it'll be a good match.
Definitely. And like we were saying a little bit ago, you took on a very formidable opponent in your last round, someone I'm very familiar with, Jacob E. West.
I wonder why.
Do you think today is going to be a little bit different? Do you think you can jump that hurdle and get your first win today?
Yeah, the last match I did right here, though, it was just sort of testing my waters right here to how you argue and how much am I gonna have a good fluence of arguments right here. So I hope the second time around might do better.
Definitely. And we have right beside him the man who also was unable to finish with the win in his last match. We have Chris Diaz. Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. This would be a lot of fun. I never thought I would have Soprano and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend in the same TV fight, but this would be interesting. And Matt Damon's perspective, here to have fun. I'm here to argue a good fight. Some really interesting one I never thought I would be arguing about. And then they're here to have fun. I'm here to try my best, keep improving as I can, and a very good opponent to be faced up again.
Definitely. And Chris took on Richard last time, and great fight between the two of you, just like with Jonathan's. It did go to the fourth question. So I'm going to ask you the same exact question I asked Jonathan. Do you think you're going to be able to jump that hurdle today and get your first win?
Yeah, it's like I feel more confident about this than I did with the last one, especially with the strength from both sides.
That's always good. That is always good. And along with me, because of course I always have to have help in judging these, I've brought in two very good judges with me. The first one, right to this side, whatever side this is, stupid mirror imaging, and I just don't like directions at all, even though my last name's West. No sense in someone, I guess. We have Dr. Spaceman, Alan Shepard. Alan, how are you doing today?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing great, feeling good. I'm also with these two gentlemen here in that second place bracket. I haven't had the best of luck, so I'm looking for my second place bracket win coming up pretty soon. But I'm excited to be listening to these two gentlemen. They always bring good arguments no matter what. So this will be fun and exciting.
And then along with Alan, just a little bit over on that side, I have Carmel Mountain, Ryan Payne. Ryan, how are you doing today?
Yeah, pretty good. It seems that the four of us here also share a spot in that second place bracket. Having had a match going up, it seems like after going for the late TV fight title last year, my luck has not been as positive as I thought it would be. So hopefully, being in the second place bracket, I'll see a turnaround on that luck. I mean, maybe I'll get my opportunity to go get my rematch to go up against Joe Farrelly again. Who knows? But right now, I'm just here to judge. I'm here to be impartial if possible. So I can't wait. So let's just get this started.
Definitely. And that is what we are here for, to find someone to take on Hot Fuzz himself, Joe Farrelly. So with that, let's just get into it with this late TV fight. The way late TV fights work, just in case this is your first time watching, we have given the competitors 4 predetermined questions that they've given us answers that they have prepared arguments for. It's going to be the first to 3 points wins. Each question is going to be broken up into 3 different rounds. The first round is a 90-second opening. This is where you tell us what your answer is, why you picked that as your answer. Yeah, it's your 90 minutes. I don't care what you do. I'm not too bad. Second is a 5-minute free-form debate. This is 5 minutes where you are allowed to form your debate freely. That's why they call it a free-form debate. This is where the two of you will be going at each other's throats, yelling at each other, whatever else you want to do. The only thing we ask is you don't talk over each other. We are friends. We don't hate each other yet. And if you're talking over each other, the judges, we cannot hear what's going on. So please don't talk over each other. Say some points. Let the other person talk. Just go back and forth. And then the last is a 60-second closing. This is your last 60 seconds to fully sell us on why your answer is the correct answer. Once we go that, we will go to the judges for judging. And again, first person to 3 points wins. Now, I know what you're asking yourself, Jacob, you said that there are 4 questions. So what happens if one person gets 2 and the other person gets 2? That's the 4 questions. No one's made it to 3. How are you going to come up with a winner? Well, I hate participation trophies. They're the stupidest invention ever. So in the off chance we do get to that 4th question, we are tied 2-2 afterwards. I do have a speed round question to get a winner, which we will delve into that if we get there. So with that, let's get into this. Starting off with our first question, which comes in Chris's strength of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. What is the best moment in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend? Chris, since this is your strength, you are going to start us off with your 90-second opening. Time starts when you start talking.
All right. Picture this. So at the end of season 2, we at the point Rachel jumped and laughed at the altar by Josh. She go on the self-destructive path at the beginning of season 3, and Josh tells her to leave her alone. She decides to commit suicide by overdosing. And then in the next episode, she wakes up in the hospital, and the doctor tells her she finally had the answer to what her problem has been in a long time. The best moment of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is a diagnosis moment when she finally realized that she had the answer to everything. That, all her life, doctor been telling her different diagnoses, different stuff, and she finally free and be herself, finally figure out where to go with her life. And that speaks to the strength of the show that it would take a sensitive subject and mental illness and take it to a level where to relate to anybody. The scene is full of funny lines about people with fire hair to likey peanut butter who doesn't, but also had meaning to it where even if you don't have diagnosis or never been mentally ill before, and it's that. And it also due to the strength of the performer Rachel Bloom, who is traditionally one of the best actors coming out of this past decade on TV. She pulled so much energy and emotion, even though her episode itself used to describe the best moment in any TV show. But when it comes to show that show what the show is about, how strange it is, this is the moment. And I would say more of my argument when we get to the argument.
All right, Chris, opening us up with a diagnosis moment. Jonathan, we're moving on to you. 90 seconds on the clock to open up your argument. Time starts when you start talking.
Funny enough, Chris mentioned the season 2 finale as well during his opening argument, which, funny enough, that's what I'm picking as my first question right here. I'm picking the season 2 finale when Rebecca left the wedding right here, going to the clip right here. And the reason why I picked this moment, because that is sort of bring the shows as, I'm not going to say this, whereas make people love the show in the first place, though. It shows in that moment, though, that Rebecca sort of say, and she realization that, it might be a fun little crazy thing. No, she is really, something is really wrong with her right here, and you slowly realize it right here, though. and also get some insight right here that what happened right here, though. I'll get more details about what I mean by that right here. So I'm picking the season 2 finale, of course. The one with the cliff. I can see where that's my time.
Thank you. And just for because I like mentioning this, anytime during this fight, anytime in the future, y'all at home watching this, if you don't want to use the rest of your time, you do not have to. But please tell us that you are conceding the rest of your time. Otherwise, like with Jonathan, he left 30 seconds on the table. Had he had not said anything, we would have sat here for 30 seconds of silence. And that's very awkward. I don't feel like doing that. So, let's go ahead and get into that 5-minute freeform debate. 5 minutes for y'all to battle it out. Time starts when someone starts talking.
As much as I loved the season 2 finale, and I gone back to rewatch the season 2 finale for this argument, kind of one of the most bleakest moment of the show. Like, I think committing suicide, like, dropped out left at the altar. Not what you think of favorite moment. When you think of favorite moment, you think of something that lit you, something that speaks to what the strength of the show is. So, something that deliver message. That what I noticed is the moment where that like season 2 finale, it's the bleakest moment of the show, but beforehand. But it led to probably one of the more powerful messages about figuring out yourself, figuring out, that despite you guys know that there are people in like that what she had right. Even during the moment at the beginning, so she had Paula, she had Valencia, she had her supporting her. She's going to get her answer, she to find a help she needs in her life. And it beats to the Vanya, who Rachel is as a character, which is season 2 finale. It's kind of all over the place, where you get like random flashbacks, you get random stuff. Like it kind of ends up bizarre cliffhanger. When I say a good moment, I try not to think a cliffhanger moment. I think a moment that speaks to a level, and not the best moment in the show. I think that like you haven't said anything else in season 2. I think there's a stronger moment in season 2 besides the finale. I would go with Rebecca at the bench over the finale of season 2. And Jesse, I know it's the moment that anybody talk about. It's the moment of clarity, the moment of saying, hey, you're okay. You're ready to face the real. You're ready to get the answer. And it be all to the volume writing, the volume of the lyrics, to the volume of everything.
Well, it was a very good moment, and I'm not going to deny that moment. That is a very good moment right here, though. When I'm saying my choice brand here, though, is I would argue it was sort of starting leading up to that, though. The reason why I chose this moment specifically because she is sort of realizing the people around her right here, and to realize that, oh, my horrible D-bag of a father right here, though. So basically saying, like, but, I don't differ, and also same thing with Josh though, right here. That she brings us. Right, phrase it. That's the reason why she's like, I don't need a guy that basically saying like what I'm trying to be accepted at the whole time. She basically slowly realizing that I might sort of like need to look at myself though, not someone else to help me out though.
But,
and
I'm sorry.
Oh. No, that's okay. That's okay. What I'm trying to put that up is like, yeah, yours is a great moment right here, though, and that's a very good one. I watched that moment right here. It's very good, though. I'm not denying that one bit, though. You want to talk about? Yeah, mine's is a big bleak right here. It's sort of like a revelation right here. There, and
but we had that revelation before when season 1, when she on the plane with her therapist, she go through the fact that her father abandoned her. That, the people like that care about her more than Josh. And we've seen it done before. Season 2 does epitome of stuff we've seen already done before on the show. With the therapist, with the problem with her and Greg, with her and Josh, But we've seen it done better in season 3. With Dianote, her realizing that, despite all of her life, she finally got the answer to what she dealt with. She take that first step into getting herself better, to go into therapy, to going and then late to the end of the season, spoiler alert, with her deciding, she doesn't need men to her life, that to be herself. At this moment, that's the stepping stone to that. Season 2 finale that lead her to a bad place where she go into the revenge mode with Josh. It doesn't really mean much. It's just like, hey, we're all together, like gang up with Josh. Kind of destroying what Rebecca is. The part that we've been having throughout the show. Especially you go back to rewatch the show at the time, that you pick up more stuff. They're much better choice of a moment where she had a problem, like realized something wrong with her. Whether you talk about her needing that to the father abandonment, her abandonment with deciding with Greg and Josh. So I know it's the platform of speaking to the message of the show, showing that hey, this is you. Anybody can relate to it. And I think that, and also funny, it's had season 2 finale not really funny. It's just bleak.
Well,
Mm.
my question is not the funniest moment in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Yeah.
This question is the best moment. The reason why I picked that moment because it brings sort of like what she brings right here in relation to that.
Time. All right. As we move on to the closing. But real quick, before I start that, your 13th favorite dad in the family community would be nothing without the second favorite mom in the family community. My wife made me this great poster explaining that I have a favorite rule that I love to forget. And Mama West, you're the best. Yes, I love to use this rule. I hate to remember to say this rule. You do have one-time 1 minute extension to use in either your opening or your closing. Just if you want to get that last couple points to fully nail that coffin. The only thing I ask, let me know before we start the argument, or if you're in the very beginning of the first couple seconds. Let me know. We'll get that added on to you. The only thing is if you're 5 seconds left in the argument, you're like, hey, I want to add that 1 minute extension. That's too late. I'm sorry. We can't do that. So as we move on to the 60-second closing, since we start off with Chris, Jonathan, we are starting off with you. 60 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
What I'm getting at in this scene, when this moment right here, though, is it really brings really the realization right here. Even in season 1, though, it started when the show sort of started, it's like, oh, I don't think it's that great right here. And then when you get to the final moment of season 2 right here, and we saw that scene evolve, and we start to unpack the ideas. I don't think you might generally be all right here though. And I want to go back to the scene when I talk about with Josh right here though. Assuming that she would keep assessing with him though, and a kind of sort of realization right here, and basically she, in her inside and in her eyes, to tell she needs help. She needs help right here to try to be right here. That's the reason she disowned her dad. She disowned Josh right here. She disowned everyone else and may burn her down right here. That's the reason I picked that moment, and that's the reason, the true heart of the show right here, based on this moment right here. Though, concede.
Time. Fun fact: you cannot concede with 1 second left because it takes you more than 1 second to say concede. But okay, Jonathan, you do you. Chris, we're moving on to you with your 60-second
I'm the first one to do it, so yeah.
Okay. Time starts when you start talking.
While the season 2 finale is a good moment, I noticed in the moment with the show where we finally open up to Rebecca, we finally get a lot of ideas, and it kind of let us relate to her in a way that a lot more doesn't. It's funny, it's insightful, it's everything. At the moment where we finally root for her to she's gonna get help, she's gonna get the answers she needs, and it all thanks to Rachel Bloom performance as Rebecca Bunch. Mal heard and show what it was there. And why is the argument about seeing the two good? I will argue more that the other moment that indicated Dr. Rebecca moment, there's the abortion storyline in season 2 are stronger. But I think season 3 is the tipping point of the show where the writing is good, the acting is good. It's being on the level about, hey, you even when I'm not doing it, you should find out, you should be yourself, be anything you want to do. And that speaks to the volume of what the show is.
Time. All right. With that, we are moving on to the judging phase. And now I'm going to start off with Alan. Alan, please tell me who gets your vote and why.
All right. Both did really good jobs arguing as far as kind of the importance of the moments you chose, and why they were important. And both of you did a good job kind of showing there's similar moments that happened in other parts of the show. I think I'm gonna go with Jonathan on this one because he had a little bit more stronger. There were similar moments in other parts of the show, but this one was the strongest. And going back to the original question, so I think I'm gonna go with Jonathan.
The first vote goes to Jonathan. Ryan, we're moving on to you next. Please tell me who gets your point and why.
Okay, my sentiments are the same as Alan's. These guys did a good job. With Chris being this being his strength, he definitely had a lot more knowledge. He definitely had a lot more to offer and more to talk about. But the constant commonalities I saw between both Jonathan and Chris was the fact that the main character decided to get help, change her life around. And also I saw one of the biggest problems was that they both picked episodes that were just within pretty much like minutes within each other. I mean, the season 2 finale leading to the season 3 premiere that was his choice. But they both kept referencing the season 2 finale, and while Chris definitely had a lot of negatives against it, although the biggest thing that Jonathan did bring back that he did say what was the best moment, and of course, sure the episode may have not been funny, but Jonathan said it. He wasn't looking for funny, and the fact was, but the best moments in TV. Hold on, I'm dragging off here, but Jonathan, and then in his closing argument, Jonathan did say that this was a moment where it was kind of like she needed to turn around. She needed to realize that she's not well. She doesn't need to rely on a man to be who she is. And Chris said that, and Chris reiterated those same exact sentiments. It's just when you're looking at the descriptions of both the episodes, the season 2 finale was talked about a lot more. So I'm gonna have to give my point to Jonathan.
All right, and with that, Jonathan takes the first question. Since my opinion does not matter, but I like opinions, catch when they're my own. I too was also leaning towards Jonathan. Chris, I felt like the biggest hit you had against his moment was that it wasn't funny, that it was like a real downbeat moment. And Jonathan really hit it hard with, well, it's not what's the most favorite moment, what's the most funniest moment, what's the best moment. And so if you wish you brought a little bit more to that, maybe this would have been a little bit different. But again, Jonathan takes the first point. So now we move on to question number 2, which comes in Jonathan's strength of The Sopranos. The question is, who gives the best performance in The Sopranos? Jonathan, since this is your strength, we're starting off with you with your 90-second opening. Time starts when you start talking.
Okay, so before I make my choice right here, I was just going to get this out of my chest right here, though. Me and Chris's pick are great choices overall. I know it's a weird thing to say that, but both of them put great choices when we pick for best performances this round, and deservedly so. But the reason why I'm going to pick this choice would be Edie Falco as Camille Soprano, because the reason I picked her because she is basically ability to make herself the fleeting expression of sentiment, the pity of grief, whether it's basically with Tony's of the mob life, whether it's her family, her parents, all that stuff, or just anything she does right here, though. And I felt like her performance right here could have been easily maybe come off as a little bit annoying right here, but as we've seen the show progresses right here in her performance right here, she gives some of the best ones right over here, though. So that will be my choice is Edie Falco as Camille Soprano, and I'll concede the rest of my time.
All right, continuing the rest of his time. Chris, we are moving on to you. 90 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
So, okay. Before Walter White, before Boba Empire, before any show of the Mafia show, we got Actor Soprano. The performance that gave us what we needed, Dane Gandolfini and Tony Soprano. He is Tony Soprano from his mannerism, the way he speaks. But he had a moment of quiet and stupidity, like moment that scare you. The moment where in season 1 where he get insulted by a guy wearing a hat in a restaurant. Without saying anything, just get this guy a look for 10 seconds, staring into him. The really bad stare. That speaks to the level of Dane Gandolfini. Because despite his parts, despite who he is, he brings so much energy. He also brings vulnerability to the role. And I didn't concede because I got a lot to say on this. Edie Falcon and my opponent Troy. But well, Dane Gandolfini would have got Walter White. He would have got a lot of the other powerful for sure. Like he is the epitome of the Al Pacino of the television generation, of the Robert De Niro the television generation of mafia performances. And the role that defined his life, it might have led to his, what some say to his death, the threat that the right gun her. He never got a better role than this. And, and that's who he is, Dane Gandolfini and Tony Soprano.
Are you conceding the rest of your time?
Yeah.
Go. All right. As we move on to the 5-minute free-form debate, Jonathan picking Edie Falco, Chris picking James Gandolfini. 5 minutes on the clock to battle this out. Time starts when someone starts talking.
All right. Well, first off, I just want to say this, get this out of the way too. RP, James Gandolfini, 11 to death right here, and right here. And the question is saying this right here. If it said what is the best character of Sopranos, easily Tony Soprano, 100% though. But we're going to look for performance right here though. And performances, Edie Falco right here is her back and forth with James Gandolfini right here. It sort of like doesn't take half of his BS right here though. Is basically when the example I want to point that up is basically season 4 season finale right here is she basically is done basically saying through right here, even going to the point that some people watching that episode right here though is sort of like it's already accurate to actual parents is arguing like this though, and that's a credit to her performance right here though.
But that's right. But you wouldn't have a good performance out of Edie Falco if you did not have Dane Gandolfini. Dane Gandolfini make this show what it is. At the moment where he just showed sympathy, the moment when his Uncle Junior had dementia, he asked him, "Do you love me?" And Uncle does not respond back. You don't watch the standard of Dane Gandolfini on that all he wants love recognition, that he's been struggling about his life, that his family was chosen to decide. This game moment is hell. The episode Kennedy and Heidi. The moment when he decided to end Christopher's life, he couldn't call 911, but he decided because Christopher was messed up that he was on drugs, he wanted Tony Tate to fall for the car accident. He choked the hell out of him. Like, there's range to his character that more. He cared about his family, he cared about everything. Like, and then, just like, without Dane Gandolfini, the performance, the show wasn't working at all because you had to have a strong character, and Edie Falco had to play off Dane Gandolfini. He wasn't there. Edie Falco would have done it, would have been that great. Anybody else could have played her character. Kamala. I think Dane Gandolfini, there's nobody else back then that could have played that role as perfect as he did. It's the role that defined him. The role that somebody think could have killed him in the end because he died of a heart attack. And he just like the ball of energy he brings to the show, the way he's interactive with his therapist, like he brings humor, he brings lightness, but he brings the cold intensity that made Tony Soprano's character we all fall in love with. Whether you talk about Kennedy and Heidi or college when he find out about the mole. His first kill in one of the most terrifying moment in the show. It's just like him strangling someone. And even him reacted when he sees Demi Smith, when he just like bent up in anger, telling the man like, "No, I made the decision. Jesus Christ, I made the decision here." And Edie Falco is good. Don't get me wrong. I think she's really good performer. I think her character can, especially in the first season, and that sometimes with the show like how the impression come out can be a little bit annoying and slow the show down at points.
Some of the points you put out with Tony Soprano and Gilfie before, it's a great character as a whole, though. That's not, we're not talking about the question. The question is who gets the best performance right here. Sure, Tony Soprano, arguably a great character right here, though, and I will agree on that 100%. But we're talking about performance right here, though, and the reason the performance is a little bit more interesting right here, though, that you might get any credit for, because she is basically the linchpin of the show's efforts. Vanity right here, though, basically saying like we're trying intended cheated on with the priest, though. That even after her and Tony split up, well, though, she's basically contemplating right here with AJ's principal right here, though. She brings a little more camaraderie right here and brings some little empathy and more robust texture what the character is, though.
It kind of feeling was it Tony Soprano to performance would have worked with her. Like they had to play offense throughout the show, and that what brings to life with Jane Gandolfini. He brings a lot to the character, and he made the character who it is. And around him, the show would have worked. I think it brings to the way he brings the humor, the warmth, the strength, but also consistency. He is the Walter White of the late 90s into the 2000 decade. He was the person that everybody was invested in.
Time.
Yeah.
Oh, man, this is hard.
Moving on to the 60-second closing. Since we started off with Jonathan, Chris, you're going to start off the closing. 60 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
I actually did use my 1 minute extra. Okay. When you think of The Soprano and the performance, you mostly think of Jane Gandolfini and Tony Soprano because he was the generation of Robert De Niro and Al Pacino in the show. He brings so much to the show, whether you talk about the warmth, to the character, to the humor, to the around him, so would have worked. Nobody else to pitch anybody else in the world but Jane Gandolfini. And it was defined. He won just Emmy for it. He won a bunch of awards for it, but he just brought something. Like right as you talked about him killing Christopher to the coach there, he gave to that one guy in the West one. Like his eyes is just scary. Like without speaking, he just brings the role in. But he also showed that he loved his family, he loved his son and daughter, that he cared for them, that he tried to teach them out to life. And Jane Gandolfini had that fatherness to him that show who he is. Edie Falco is good. I think she is like the third best performance on the show. I think Chris was better. I think a few others better. But if her performance would have worked out Jane Gandolfini is the prince of the show. He is what brings the whole cast together. And that you should see an interview acted like he was on set and everything. That he was a great person to work off on. And that's what you need to show. It's a performance that, when you talk about best performance, one that shows range, emotion, one that showed that, he was the character around him. Like, it what haunt him in life to the end of his day. Like, nobody else. That way he could get more role outside of the Soprano, because of that role of Tony Soprano. Like, and that saying something about Jane Gandolfini, sure would have worked. He was Tony Soprano. And whether you like Kennedy and Haiti, college episodes, we had with Jimmy for the snare. He just.
All right, Jonathan, we're moving on to you. 1 minute on the clock. Close this out. Time starts when you start talking.
All right. Again, the question is, what is the best performance of The Sopranos, not what is the best character on The Sopranos, though. And all you said about Gandolfini, though, and about his character is great, though. I 100% agree on it. But that's the greatness. What scenes one of those great is the writing of the show. This is what about David Chase, Matthew Weiner, and Terrence Winter, and the writing staff of the show. What did make those scenes great, though? Not to deny that one hit. What I'm trying to get out of my choice with Edie Falco, though, is she is basically trying the low-key glue of the show around here. Even if you take her and the scenes of Tony out of it, though, she is basically sort of like the caring mom, and basically saying the very frisky nature of it right here, though. And even though her reaction about Meadow getting married right here, at first she's happy, but the next scene after it, in a therapist thing right here, she was not 100% right here, though. So that will be.
All right, as we move on to the judging,
God.
Ryan, we're going to start off with you. Who gets your point and why?
Okay, all right. This one is definitely a little more difficult. Yeah, Jonathan did say right in his opening, they picked two great choices with Edie Falco and James Gandolfini. Both, while you do see the latter, Gandolfini, as the man who is synonymous with The Sopranos, a guy who has the most recognized, who's the most recognizable, but at the same time, one can argue the same with Edie Falco, how Jonathan said in his closing statements, when she's not interacting with Gandolfini, she has her moments, especially as he talked about with Edie Falco, how she is the housewife of this mobster. And at the same time, her struggles with this marriage, you don't know if it's falling apart. And I don't know. I mean, I was hearing so much more from Chris. He was able to name examples of moments of Gandolfini's performance. And there was just so much more passion I heard coming out of Chris, to where Jonathan at times was not able to get a counter in, or not able to get much of a word going on. But ultimately, in the end, though, well, okay, I'm going to stop dragging and get towards my final decision. And my final decision is that Chris is going to get my point, because not just the fact that Gandolfini is synonymous with this series, but he gave out good examples, like him choking out Christopher. He also talked about Gandolfini's performances of portraying Sopranos' Sopranos character, like him being menacing, him trying to be a father. So just so much more passion coming from him, to which was able to convince me.
All right, so Chris is getting that first vote as we move on to me, and I'm going to lean the same exact way. Chris is going to get my point on this. Biggest reason why, again, y'all both picked very great performers, probably the two best, but Chris was just able to give me like actual moments in the show, talking about where he does kill that guy, and you can actually like see the inner fight within him. Just giving me those little examples of why Gandolfini has the best performance. That's why I'm going to go with Chris. So after question number 2, Chris is able to tie it up 1-1. Alan, your point does not matter, but it matters in my heart. Who would have gotten your point and why?
Oh, that's sweet of you. Yeah, this would have been a clean sweep. Chris and it wasn't by much, because Jonathan gave really good examples as well. But Chris just had a touch more and just a little bit more of examples of why in those moments you saw more range on Gandolfini's face with those quiet moments. I think just seeing more storylines from the character himself through the quiet moments and through the big moments as well. Just a couple more moments. Jonathan, you did good, but this was a hard one. I mean, you guys both picked really hard characters. So, but good job. But yeah, Chris would have got mine too.
Yeah, as soon as Chris picked that choice, I was like, oh man, it's gonna be an uphill battle. Like, I was like, Jesus, and I don't want to do this. I love Gandolfini so much. It's really hard. I'll do that.
Yeah, I love Gandolfini as that too.
All right, so now as we move on to question number 3. Question number 3 is, What TV character would make the best companion during the zombie apocalypse? Since right now the world is falling apart due to health issues, and who knows what's going to happen? Maybe someone turns into a zombie. I don't know. This just felt like the perfect time to bring this question up. But I will let y'all know at home. I did have one clarification of this question. No zombie TV show characters were allowed. So before y'all are like, they should have picked Rick Grimes or anyone from The Walking Dead, I wasn't going to allow it. I wanted to get creative with this one. So question number 3, who would be the best companion during the zombie apocalypse? Jonathan, you start off round 2. Chris, you are starting off round 3. Chris, 90 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
When I think of zombie apocalypse and who I would have as companion, the one answer that comes to my mind, he is the best character of the DC TV show, is Hank Henshaw, aka Martian the Manhunter Hunter. He is a character that is like a father figure to anybody. He's a father figure to Alex, he's a father figure to Kara. He's also someone who, especially in zombie apocalypse, you want to add your time. He know every culture there is. He to disguise himself anybody. To incorporate himself in the zombie and take them out one by one. He could also incorporate himself to human enemy. And he had knowledge of everything on earth about the food, the water, coaching, what to eat and what to survive in the zombie apocalypse. They also encourage you to be the best you can. And he's told to be very funny. He's told to be very compassionate. And you see his relationship with Kara and Alex Denver. And he also someone who you to look up to, right? That's what you need a companion. Someone to make you be the best you can be, despite the circumstances, despite the thing, and to encourage you to do better, to give you advice when needed, and help you out. He wouldn't leave you behind. Like even if he disguised himself, he would be right behind you and protect you. And take out the enemy and help and teach you move to take them out each by one. That way you need a zombie apocalypse, someone to encourage you and someone won't leave you behind. Someone who will encourage you to be the best you can. And you don't, you're kind of dead. You know. I concede.
All right, conceding the rest of his time. Jonathan, 90 seconds on the clock to open up your argument. Time starts when you start talking.
Similar thing Chris's pick right here. I'm going to pick a superhero character right here from the world of Emily Park right here. Yes, I'm talking about Danny Phantom. And the reason why, the facepalm right here to proves that Danny Phantom for me might be the best person to bring with you to a zombie apocalypse because you know what power is? He's a ghost. All right? He's a ghost with the most, basically, around here, though. There's some cases, if there were a zombie apocalypse right here, he will help you out right here, though, when it's you. If he cuts you right here, you turn into a ghost along with them, and the zombie just run through right over here, though. You can be invisible and no harm with it. I will get more of the details why I need him in the zombie apocalypse, so complete the rest of my time right here. My choice is Danny Phantom.
All right, so we have Danny Phantom versus Martian Manhunter, a fight that we can only make up. So I made it up for you. You're welcome, people watching this. 5 minutes on the clock to battle it out. Time starts when someone starts talking.
Oh, wait.
All right. Here's the thing. Here's your main problem with Martian Manhunter, though, because let's just say an example where it happens. If a zombie, and be fair, most zombie apocalypse happen mostly movies and TV shows. If it happens along with it, fire. If a fire zombie just comes through right here, you ask Martian Manhunter to do it? No. His weakness is fire around here. Even if there are overwhelmingly a lot of zombies right over here, I don't think a main of his strength can do it right here. With me, I just blast through it right over here, though. And even if we didn't use more mainly invisible, though, they just screams it out all the zombies into obliterate them. So basically, we kind of get the situation done over a bit quickly right here, though.
Okay, but here's the thing with Danny Phantom. He is a kid. Like, he doesn't have the knowledge that Martian Manhunter does. Martian Manhunter to adapt to any situation. When you think companion, you need someone to encourage you. Danny, he's a kid, and, you know, even if he turned ghost, like, a zombie attack his companion, and he does this the entire his companion gets turned into a zombie. And, like, he doesn't have the adaptability, but what he does with human, like, you have to deal with human round. When you see a zombie apocalypse, you have to see the people that you get to the advantage, the enemy beside the zombie. And Danny, he never cared like that with not fight well against humans. Martian Manhunter to talk people down. He should be compassionate. When you look at his relationship with Alex Denver, like he was a father figure to them, he could be funny, he could be kind, to sing karaoke, he can be anything. He encouraged them to be the best friends they on and teach them moves to help them survive. Even with his thing against fire, he took that to it and survived. And what if he keeps his companion in the fight back band situation? So he know everything of the earth, the food, the way. Then he doesn't have the knowledge that it to survive. Like he could be good and better, but you have to think of the sources, the environment surrounding you, the enemy behind the zombie. Like how to deliver on food, limited amount of food. And that's what Monster Manager to bring. And you need a companion that encourage you to be who you are, encourage you to stand up and fight. I don't see Danny as that person. I love Danny Phantom. I love the show that that's going up. But I never once saw where he would encourage somebody to be better than they are. And his parents, besides yelling, kind of okay. I mean, I think it would work against zombie, but against human, it's not going to hold up well. In today's standard, I think he doesn't have the adaptability. I think Monster Manhunter and Hank Chancer, especially that he's been living on Earth for so many years, that he knows the cultures, he knows why people adapt, and he adapts pretty well to the fact. And he should use his coaching ability, he should use his power to the good in you. So he is someone that you would want to be behind, want to have a friend. Danny, not a leader. He's not someone you want to have a companion. He was someone you would like to have friends, but to be close at distance. And
the thing is, like, the question is this: is sort of the best companion in the zombie apocalypse? It doesn't mean you're gonna be 100% your friend though, because even then, the person is your friend though. Even the person is your friend though. You need someone at least to be with you right here. Like that, and you can make the case of friends. Danny cares about his friends right here. He cares about Sam and Tucker and his family right here. Like even some of his classmates, yeah, that might be bullying him, but they still at least some sympathy against them right here. If the situation happens, like here. He has a direct advantage that everyone knows he can't switch between the living and the dead. Not only that, but his powers right here, not only invisibility, he has plasma rays from his hands right here, and he also finds himself drawn into the roles of a tireless hero, possessing random people on the street, even from health and harm's way right here. If a circumstance happens in a zombie apocalypse right here, if it's just like, oh no, I don't know what to do right here, damn it, at least will help you right here. Yeah, he might be 14 years old, but at the same time, we need someone at least be helpful. That might be more useful in the situation. Like Martian Manhunter, though, I don't think Martian Manhunter very... Look, he is a very caring person. I will give you that. But at the same time, though, if Manhunter is very conflicted, like trying to get back home, though, maybe if the something circumstances happens, though, with Martian Manhunter, though, is like, I don't care about Earth right here. I'm going back to Mars right over here, though. But even go back mentioned earlier with the fire of that stuff right here. Like I said, let's just say very informative happens if zombies are just around near him. I don't think this is his best when he was strong right here, though. For mine, I think Danny Phantom might be the best person in the scenario in the zombie apocalypse right here to use it and must means necessary.
Time. All right, as we get into the 60-second closing. Since Chris started off this argument. Yeah, that's right. Jonathan, you're going to start us off with your 60-second closing. 60 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
Again, when it happened, you need someone in a zombie apocalypse. You need someone at least to be helpful, at least be a guyful. Yes, he's 14 years old right here, but in a zombie apocalypse right here, he will use his powers mostly good right here. Yeah, he might brass right here. Sure. No, I'm looking for a guy at least to be helpful, to be useful right here. He has powers to use plasma rays, even go for people possessing people in his body right here, and at least make the smart decisions, though. With yours, with Martian Manhunter, at least you have a good motivational tactics right here, but maybe it might be at least helpful even if it happens in the apocalypse, though. With Danny Phantom, at least someone needs to be, is a great, at least role model, is a great superhero, though. At least people liked him a bit right here, though. At least if people get behind, if it's a real apocalypse happens, like, And Danny Phantom said, "Hey, all of you, if you want to help me right here, I got a plan right here." He even once turned the Earth into ghosts right here, invisible right here. So it might be the best place for an apocalypse.
Time. All right, Chris. 1 minute on the clock to close out this argument. Time starts when you start talking.
When you think of best companion having a possible, you see Martian Manhunter. Like Danny Phantom is a good character. He is a good character. But because of lack ability to the environment and everything around him, he would adapt well. But March Manson, he's been living on Earth for many years. He would adapt well to the enemy, to food and water, limited supply, teaching people to be better than they are. When you look, especially in relations with the supergun Darren Devin, he encouraged them to be better than they are. Give them help advice. He can karaoke with him. He does everything. Like, you want a companion that will love you for who you are. That what Martian Manhunter did. Yeah, he wanted to get to Mars originally, but he loved the people around him, and he cared about every one of them. Like, and he would talk people down. I mean, and he will help with the human environment. He will help with the food environment. With zombie, he could help by teaching the people ahead of time how to fight better, how to attack better. But Danny, I don't think he had the leadership adaptability to come when needed when a zombie opponent. But you need a companion. You need someone who you to be better. Someone who is powerful and friendly. Someone who would love to be.
All right, as we move on to
God.
the judging. I'm going to start this one off. And I like both these picks. Danny Phantom, just so happened I was like right in middle school when that came out, so it was perfect time for me because I was close to 14 when it came out. I don't remember exactly how old I was.
Same age as Danny.
Martian Manhunter. I mean, I'm a big comic book nerd, and so Martian Manhunter, just an awesome guy. I loved him in the Superman TV show. But now I have to pick who I would rather want to be with me in a zombie apocalypse. And while I would rather want Martian Manhunter, based off of the arguments, I'm going to give my point to Jonathan on this one. I'm giving it to Danny Phantom. Chris, you had a great counter with the fact of Danny is a 14-year-old kid and you can't trust him. He doesn't have any life experience. The question is who would make the best companion, not who would be the leader of your group. If it was like leader, I would hit that hard. But since it's companion, it's just him and you. I felt Jonathan had a lot more points for Danny Phantom. And also whenever he brought in the whole zombies on fire, and that's Martian Manhunter's weakness, I didn't hear anything to counter that. So I am going to give my point to Jonathan with Danny Phantom. Alan, we are moving on to you. Who gets your point and why?
Well, this is a tough one because they both picked great characters. I'm going to put my bias aside just a little bit because Martian Manhunter is my favorite DC character of all time. I absolutely love that character. And when people were picking powers, whose powers would you want back on the playground back in the day? Everybody forgot about Martian Manhunter, but Martian Manhunter has more powers and better powers, which, Chris, I think you didn't monopolize on those enough. You pointed out his adaptability and his leadership qualities, just like Jacob said, very, very well. But the counter with the fire, that was a stroke of brilliance from Jonathan, because, you know, we all remember zombie movies, zombie TV shows, and they always go for fire, burn them all up. You had a slight little bit, but all you had to do was say, well, you know what? Martian Manhunter got I-beams, can take them all out from a distance. No worries. And you didn't bring that up, which you didn't bring up enough of the power set of Martian Manhunter. So because of that, I'm gonna have to go with Jonathan as well.
So you heard it all here, folks. Alan would rather be with Danny Phantom than Martian Manhunter.
Oh, which pains me to say.
So interesting strategy. But with that, Jonathan takes the third question. It is up 2-1. Ryan, just like the others, your point didn't matter on this, but I love opinions. Who would you have gone with and why?
Guys, this would have been a clean sweep. This would have been given to Jonathan. I'm familiar with both of these characters, Phantom and Martian Manhunter. And while, yes, Martian Manhunter would have been a great choice, but Chris, the moment Jonathan labeled out his weakness of fire, you did not counter it. You could have labeled so many more powers and how to utilize it, but one thing that you didn't counter was that it's been later shown that fire was a psychological weakness of Martian Manhunter, a weakness he could overcome and get over. If you had mentioned something like that, this round would have been yours, hands down. But it was because Jonathan did brought it back up again of fire as a weakness, and you did hit Jonathan hard. The fact that Danny is a kid, doesn't have that much life experience, and also Danny himself, he's half human. He's not fully a ghost. So if you've mentioned that he has limits on his abilities, that he has not grown into his powers yet, even with that fire as a weakness, you would have won as well.
All right. As we move on to the fourth and final main round question. Jonathan, if you get this, you win. Chris, if you want to take this match, you have to get this one to take us to the speed round. And the last question is, what is the most iconic TV show of the 2000s? Jonathan, since we started off with Chris last time, we're starting off with you on this one. 90 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
When you want to talk about what is the most iconic TV series of the 2000s, we want to talk about it was sort of an impact that most people would have been talking about maybe the day after the episode, talking about. For me, I'm picking The Sopranos. Yeah, keeping on the Sopranos theme of the show right here. This is mainly the TV show everybody talked about. Everybody talked about throughout the decade right here, though. Even started like 1999 all the way to the new millennium when it ended its run like 2007 right here. Many people talk about Sopranos. It was literally like the first TV shows that every time you watch an episode, you feel like you were watching a movie, though. And you feel like you were watching a miss of this show right here. It's the most iconic show because it launches. Funny enough, Chris mentioned it in the previous round. It relaunched right show. It launched shows like Complexity, like Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, Sons of Anarchy, even Battlestar Galactica right here. Brent introduced these worlds right here. And from iconic and influence, it came from The Sopranos. So that will be my choice of The Sopranos, and I will concede the rest of my time.
All right, conceding the rest of his time. Chris, we're moving on to you. 90 seconds on the clock to open out this argument. Time starts when you start talking.
When you think of the most iconic show of the 2000 and from 2000 to 2010 and continue on, you think of The Office. The Office was a show that was a remake of a British show, but it was a show that launched the career of like Steve Carell. It relaunched the career of Don Krasinski. It was David, like the career we know today, but also show that was the influence of what we know of other shows like Modern Family, like Park and Rec, like the mockumentary drama, but you really don't see on TV. But also funny show, it had Laugh, Dwight, the pranks that Jim pulled on Dwight, the company itself. Like when you think a show that lasts, that people talk about still today, they often get mentioned more, mostly because of the uniqueness, the way it tells a story, and the season from that decade was the strongest of the show. Like if we were talking about the next decade, that would be a whole completely different argument. But it also showed that speak to a lot of reverence. It gave us a relationship we root for with Jim and Pam that was so touchy and so unique and so amazing that people still to today hate Jonathan Peck marry Emily Blunt because he wanted him to end up with the woman to play Pam. And it was a show of the generation. It was a comedy of that decade that people resonate with.
Time. All right, we have The Office. We have The Sopranos. We have 5 minutes on the clock. Let's battle this out. Time starts when you start talking.
All right, let's just talk about The Office for a second, though. Yeah, like you brought out, it's a remake of the UK Office, which the UK Office kind of started the mockumentary type of thing right here, though. That even movies before they used that mockumentary style for comedy right here, though. So the Office of the US version is nothing new right here, though. And a little correction on you, this is not Steve Carell's breakout of the Office, though. People already know Steve Carell from The Daily Show, though. People kind of know he's been on the block for years before The Office came out, though. Well, yours is a great show. I'm not gonna deny that. Even some of it, and the people gonna even watch it though, it's just more like a meaningful. Even some of the jokes, if you go back to rewatch them though, some of it is just my little. What is it? A little funnier. It was back then I saw it though. All that right over here though. When we're thinking with my show though is it brings like the grimiest right here of basically the characters like Tony Soprano, Pamela, Meadow, AJ, even with his gang with Christopher, Paulie, Silvio, even the post right here though. It brings it right here to the characters right here throughout the mob life, throughout the family life right here, and the iconics of the show. It really launches HBO around that point. Just a little bit at the time it was more of a comedy thing right here. It really launched solidified right here, winning countless awards along with it, including our previous choices right here with James Gandolfini and Jimmy Falco right here, though, and doing the most of the writing and more nuance right here, basically the episode right here. The one episode I want to bring that out is the Pine Barren. It basically took the premise like the bottle episode right here and sort of expanded on it. Even showed later on though, like for instance, there's one episode in Barry have a similar thing, and even Bill Harris says himself, half of the influence from that is from The Sopranos with the Pine Barrens episode, and even comedies they use. So that's some of that formality right here, though. That's how much iconic show The Sopranos was around that time, and even make larger news, New Jersey, relevant for a very long time, though. That's how big of a show it is.
But when you think iconic show, you think a show that featured leverage. Sopranos was a show that was hard to get on HBO. Like, it featured people on HBO. The Office was a show that was accessible to everybody. Even though, yes, Steve Carell had a Daily Show, people remember Steve Carell more for The Office than they do the Daily Show, more than they do the Anchorman. It gave people like John Krasinski a launch to a career where we know him today, the guy who did The Quiet Play and married Emily Blunt. It gave Joe that people remember. People don't name Steve Carell saying no for 7 hours. The same song is more iconic because it's in your head more than The Sopranos. When I hear The Sopranos song, I think that's the song. I never think of The Sopranos. Yes, The Sopranos have won plenty of awards, but that doesn't count to the idea of iconic. It's the idea of what resonates with people. The Office resonates with people for more because it's art with humor, more for the family aspect, Terrell and the people he worked with.
Mine's the same thing right here, though. It brings more of the witness of the show. It's funny at points right here. Even some instances that you should have been laughing in the dark moments.
Yeah, but the Office also provide like emotional moment. It provide like when Sequel go to Pam painting and the fact that he supported her despite he always made fun of her throughout the show. Provide the Pam and Jim moment where it's the relationship that people root for. With The Sopranos, like besides Dan Gandolfini and Edie Falcon, they made any actor that had more successful career after The Sopranos. Like we barely hear from a lot of the people at Sopranos nowadays. Dan Gandolfini dead. Edie Falcon went on for better work with no Jackie. With The Office, like everybody career launched. Like Elliot Kemper went on to do Unbreakable Kimmy Smith. Tom Krasinski went on to do directing. He went on to do acting. We now know him for Man in Your Top, but we always remember him for Jim. Like The Sopranos is great because of the performance. The Office is great because of the cast itself, because of the comedy, because of the relatable nature to it. And The Sopranos was the end of the 1990s, right? And I think it was it for The Godfather, was it for Goodfellas, for a lot of Mafia. Like The Sopranos would be the original thing, but because we had Mafia film before, and I hate to say it, I kind of like The Wire better as a gangster show than I do at The Sopranos. I think that was more iconic of the decade for HBO, and much as Sopranos was The Wire for people who saw it. And I think The Office was more accessibility. Like it became iconic because people were able to watch it.
Time. All right. As we move on to the closing, since we start off with Jonathan, Chris, we are starting off with you on the closings. You have 60 seconds on the clock. Time starts when you start talking.
Iconic show of the decade. While yet to span of one and one, but yet it was great for what it was with HBO. The Office was a show that resonated with a lot of people. It launched several careers, but it also was a show that a lot of people could relate to, from its humor to relationship with Jim and Pam, to emotional moment like with Steve Carell visiting Pam gallery, to moment like the touching relationship with Jim and everything. The joke with Dwight. Like, it was a lot of things. Like, yeah, the documentary was done before, but it was brought to the United States where we only had found footage stuff back then. And it was brilliant. It gave us the stuff we really had like with Modern Family, with Park and Rec. Without The Office, we would have had those shows done so well. The Office, and some of the best seasons was in that decade. Like, and it all thanks to the wonderful cast, to the wonderful writing, to everything that the show brought.
Time. All right, Jonathan. 60 seconds on the clock to close it
I will
out.
use my 1 minute extension.
And you are using your 1 minute extension. So you have 2 minutes on the clock to close this out. Time starts when you start talking.
The question is, what is the most iconic TV show of the 2000s? Not what series that launched many careers after the series was going on, though. The question is basing on this. The importance and iconicness of The Sopranos is this. You gain this sort of scenario that a mobster going to therapy right here, though, is sort of like a psychological standpoint right here, though. You might, in a weird way, sort of relate to him, even though happy instances you should have related to him right here, though. And it's sort of resonating with people. This isn't not only sort of his actions, though, but even the family to a certain extent right over here, though. And even sort of the back and forth with the characters right here. Even the darker moments. Let's talk about some of the darker moments of the show, though. Even they had to kill Big Puss right here in the end of season 2. Almost heartbreaking right over here, though. And even Ariana's death right here. You don't even see the kill what happened. That really so scars you right over here, though. Just everything around it. That's what makes the show more iconic to some people. It sort of launches other TV shows I just mentioned, like Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, Sons of Anarchy, and Battlestar Galactica, and even shows where having the character or even people descend into madness, into power and chaos along with it. And basically got critically acclaimed along with it right here, though. Even some more people talk about, even the final years of the show, this is where TiVo sort of starting up right here. People are sort of recording episodes right here. This one right here. This is basically the first show. Basically the binge around over here, though. When you see what's about being right here, even to talk about the place right here, you first talk about The Sopranos right here, though. You want to talk about sort of like lengthy bottle episodes right here? People think about The Sopranos right here. That's how big and iconic the show is right here. And even when you think about New Jersey, people thought, yeah, Sopranos right here, though. When people think the opening credits right here, going to the Turnpike, right? People humming that song. When you're looking at this morning right here, you think of Sopranos right over here, though. That's the reason it's the most iconic show of the 2000s.
Time. All right, as we move on to the judging, Alan, we're going to start off with you. Please tell me who gets your point and why.
Well, first of all, this was both of your best arguments. You guys really did a hell of a job arguing your show. I've never been a fan of The Office or The Sopranos, but I understood their importance based off of your guys' arguments and talking about them. A lot of great points were made. Chris, with your the show being so relatable and more accessible was a huge point to make for that show. But Jonathan, really there were every single aspect of the show. Everybody knew about it. And then what makes it more iconic, going back again to the original question, what makes it more iconic is its lasting imprint on the way shows are done now and what people remember about them and the importance of them. And The Sopranos is hard to deny, and Jonathan made a very good argument as to why with the various points that he made. So by just a hair though, I'm going to give it to Jonathan.
All right, so Jonathan getting the first point. Ryan, we're moving on to you. Who gets your point and why?
My sentiments are the same as Alan's. This was an incredibly hard fought match. You two definitely brought everything you brought into this. You brought up reasons why the show is so iconic. To Jonathan talking about its lasting impression, and Chris talking about how the cast has been more ingrained into the audience. Although slightly personally, Chris, I do remember Steve Carell from Anchorman and The Daily Show before Office, but that's just me. So I'm going to take that little nugget and put it to the side. Other than that, you did a great job talking about the other cast that were involved, like John Krasinski, Ellie Kemper, how they were able to do bigger things outside of The Office, which is fantastic. How it was such a good show and community. Although didn't hear much of attacks from you, honestly, and I heard some attacks from Jonathan, and unfortunately, Jonathan's 1 minute extension did him that well in his closing, so Jonathan gets my point, because despite the fact that, yes, a show can have a great cast, honestly, if you had talked about the lasting, the iconic, how much the lasting impressions that it made further down the line, Chris, this would have been dead even, but Jonathan stuck true to his argument that Sopranos is still talked about even to this day, to where many people now want either a revise of the Sopranos or a prequel series or movie of the Sopranos. So Jonathan gets my point.
And with that, and your winner, the Raptor Master, Jonathan Peck. And again, just because I like my opinion, this again was another really good fight. I'm a little disappointed. There was a lot of points both of y'all could have made against the other shows. Chris, I love the when you said, if I have to choose an HBO series, I'm going to pick The Wire. Plus, The Sopranos is only on HBO, so The Office is a lot more available. I love those two counters that you did. Jonathan had that great rebuttal of TiVo. I remember when that was a thing. Thank you for making me feel old, Jonathan. This was like one of the first things people would binge and recording. I just wish y'all both would have brought like the bad parts of your shows. Chris, you could have brought up the divisive ending and how most people were not a fan, and it kind of ruined it for some people. And then Jonathan, bringing up when Michael left. Will Ferrell was a bad boss. Every other boss after it definitely fell from its glory. But again, Jonathan,
the decade were over, though. I think that was.
I'll talk about that here in a second.
Yeah.
So Jonathan really would have gotten my point because he really hammered home of why this show was more iconic. With that 2 minute extension, exactly what Ryan said. Jonathan, you saved it, you used it at the right time, and you got the win out of it. So with that, we are going to move on to our post-match interviews. Jonathan, we're going to start off with you. You have finally gotten that win. Finally getting that even record. How are you feeling after that?
Whew, wow. I'm very sweaty right now of the arguments right here, and especially the hardest one for me, which I think the first two questions, because I was a little surprised I got the first round answer. I got it because I watched a couple episodes of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and because my sister watched the show, she actually helped me out right here. Even to watch the clip right here helped me out though. So that was a little bit surprised for me. I did that well right here, and even round number two though is personally hard for me because ever since Chris picked James Gandolfini, I was like, oh man. I know my second choice might be, but I don't know how to defer on it. I was just like, man, it just personally hurts my heart, really, because I love Gandolfini, R.I.P. man, but it just really is just a hard one to do right over here, which the rest of my arguments I was sort of very confident in right here if I get it through right here, and I think my bucket of notes, well, not bucket, notepad of notes right over here to help me out right here, keep me on track, focus right here. and I did a good job. I'm currently 1-1 right now, so let's go, boys.
All right. And the question I like to ask everyone after this match, you're sitting at a nice and pretty 1-1, batting a nice 500. Is there anyone out in the late TV fights world that you would love to take on and get above 500?
I would say this. I want someone to basically sort of similar to me, a 1-1 record, and also sort of like got 500 right here though. That might be the next person I might be. I don't have a single person who might be. That's the person I'm aiming.
Definitely. Well, there are a couple people who are. I have one person that's 1-1. A couple people who are 0-1 and 1-0. So as soon as we get those recorded, we'll definitely have a better idea of people in that 1-1 range. But I'll definitely get someone for you. And then moving on to Chris. Chris, you weren't able to pull it out. But I do want to clarify something that you said. You were talking about how most of the bad seasons of The Office were in the 2010s, so it shouldn't count. This is something that I have made a rule whenever it comes to these decade questions. As long as the show was primarily in this decade.
Yes.
So, for instance, The Office, and I have it pulled up so I get the dates right, went from 2005 to 2013. They had 5 seasons in the 2000s, 3 in the 2010s. I consider the full series a 2000 series. So if Jonathan was to bring up those later seasons, even the 2010, 11, 12, those seasons, I would have deemed that fair just because we're talking about the full season, the full series.
I was struggling because originally I was to go with Breaking Bad, but it was only like 1-2 seasons that.
Yeah. No, as long as the majority of the season was in that decade, it counts, and I will take the full series into an account. So you weren't able to get out the win, but you did a great job. How are you feeling after that?
I felt this one much stronger than I did with my last match. Like I felt like I was able to argue more and figure stuff out. Like, it's right, Jonathan, you were really good, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Right.
you pulled some really difficult arguments.
And then, Chris, I'm going to pose that same question that I asked Jonathan. Is there anyone in the late TV fights world that you want to take on?
I'm not sure. I mean, I really take on anyone. I really want to get winning. But I like that even though I lost, I took the 2 years setting where I wanted to go better at and do better with. Like, give me a chance to go back to watch stuff I haven't watched a long time with the benefit of it. Right. And anyone really take me on, really take him on. I just want to have fun. It's all about having fun. I don't care whether I win or lose. I'd rather have fun than be a jerk about it.
Yes, and having fun. That's why we do this. That's what this is all about. So with that, this has been another Late TV Fights. As we are on the road to Scratch and Claw number 2 to find out who is going to take on Joe Fairley for that belt. If you want any sneak peeks on who's going to take him on, I don't know. We just put up these matches, so I don't know yet. But I'll give you a better answer in a couple weeks. So with that, I have been your 25th favorite dad in the family community, Papa West, Jacob West. That has been Dr. Spaceman, Alan Shepard, Chris Diaz, Jonathan Peck. Y'all have a good one. Stay safe. I don't care. I'm not your dad.